What's going on, guys? UFC Vegas. What was it? 110? I don't even know. Steve Garcia versus David Onama just ended. And I was going to say this is going to be my full card post fight, but it's not. it's not. It's not, because we're just going to jump right to the people's main event. I am so devastated that I was not live tonight. I'm ashamed of myself. I had other plans, and then when I found out the card was happening, I realized it was a shitty card. So I said, this is the perfect excuse to take the night off. And boy, man, the live reaction would have been the best live reaction ever. Where I was actually watching this fight, and I jumped up and down. I even put my hands in the air and said, this is the best day of my life. We have the people's main event. Waldo Cortes-Acosta versus Ante Delija. But let's be real. Are we really breaking down the fight? We kind of are. But Salsa Boy exposed Tom Aspinall for quitting after an eye poke KO return. It was beautiful. Salsa Boy really exposed Tom Aspinall. That's not a joke. That's not satire. That's not rage bait. Maybe it is rage bait, but it's rage baiting with facts. Salsa Boy showed tonight that Tom Aspinall, the UFC quote-unquote undisputed heavyweight champion, is a fucking quitter. And I told you. And man, the irony that we had tonight. Because Ante Delija is Tom Aspinall's training partner and friend. Tom Aspinall said, I would vacate my belt before I fought Ante Delija. And tonight, Waldo Cortes-Acosta got brutally eye-poked. Maliciously eye-poked. And guess what he did? No, he didn't quit. No, he didn't say, I can't see! I can't see! I can't see! He manned the fuck up. He went back out there, and he got a brutal KO win to catapult him up the division. This is Salsa Boy potentially trolling Tom Aspinall here. I'm not 100% sure, okay? We're going to go through the fight play-by-play in a second. This is the brutal eye poke from Ante Delija. Look at this. Look at where the finger is. And also, we're going to listen to a couple things Waldo Cortes-Acosta had to say afterwards. He did an interview backstage that a lot of people haven't seen. And also, he did his post-fight press conference where he talked about Aspinall and called out Aspinall again. But we're going to get to that in a little bit as time goes on, because we got a lot to discuss here. We have Salsa Boy here holding that. We have Salsa Boy in agony on the stool, crying in agony, shrieking in agony. He didn't utter those words. He didn't utter those 3 words. I can't see. He never said them. He never said them, because guess what? He wanted back in this fight. He didn't want to quit. He didn't want to take his ball and go home. He didn't want to pack it in like a little bitch. He said, you know what? Tough luck. I got eye poked. And his eye poke was far worse than Tom Aspinall's eye poke. We'll get to that in a second. I know people are going to disagree with that, but we'll get to that in a second. So let's break down the fight. So let's just put it on this for now, because this fight was uneventful up until it was eventful. I mean, that doesn't even really make sense. But what I'm trying to say is the first 2 minutes was basically a clinch fest. Delija clinched up. Waldo Cortes-Acosta reversed it, put Delija's back against the fence. And then they disengaged. Waldo kind of hung out there for a little bit. They disengaged. Then Delija shot in on a double leg. They ended up in the clinch again. I think Acosta broke out of the clinch through an elbow. And then Delija was kind of pressing forward. And then what you see is a back and forth. All of a sudden, the fight picks up. It looks like kind of like a stinker for the first 2 minutes. And then all of a sudden, it starts picking up. They're swinging. They're in the pocket. Waldo Cortes-Acosta's up against the fence. They're both landing. They're both slinging big punches, and they're landing. And then eventually, all of a sudden, you see Costa grab his eye. You see Salsa Boy grab his eye, and he shows up against the fence. And Delija, it's very clear. Mark Smith sees it immediately, but I guess it doesn't register. He's not 100% sure. He sees the reaction. I went back and watched it before I did this video. I went back and watched it for a second time. Mark Smith reacts to Salsa Boy reacting to the eye poke, but he doesn't stop the action. And Delija swarms him. Now he's covered up. He's got his eye covered up. He's shelling up here. And Delija just starts smashing him against the fence and just swarming him. Throws like 20 shots, 30 shots maybe. I didn't count him. Mark Smith jumps in. Waldo Cortes-Acosta, I believe, I couldn't tell. I think he immediately protested. Mark Smith, when he jumped in, I think he realized there was something, but he wasn't 100% sure. He does not wave his hands above his head. Good. Shout out to Brendan Fitzgerald. I don't even like that dude most of the time. He called it immediately. He said Mark Smith didn't wave his hands above his head, signaling the fight was over. Mark Smith then proceeds to say, I saw punches. He's telling Waldo Cortes-Acosta, I saw punches. But guess what? Mark Smith says, let's go to the replay. Let's check out the replay. There's a whole catastrophe. There's Delija celebrating. There's all this stuff going on. And Mark Smith goes to the replay. Herb Dean's like, we're in a timeout. They're reviewing it. They're looking at it. It's clear as day. It's a left hand, and his hands are open, and it's coming right at the eyes of Salsa Boy. Salsa Boy tries to parry it a little bit, and it catches his left eye. The pinky catches his left eye, and he's disabled from that eye poke. And Delija sees that he's disabled from the eye poke and starts swarming him with big shots. None of them land super concretely to the chin or anything, but nonetheless, he beat the shit out of him after eye poking him. So particularly egregious in my opinion. At least Ciryl Gane backed off and gave Tom Aspinall his chance to recover. So anyway, in the meantime, you have Salsa Boy on the stool, writhing in agony. Okay, we'll show you that picture. Just writhing in agony. He's screaming. He's writhing in agony. Mark Smith says, look, I just saw punches. They check the replay. They tell Mark Smith it was an eye poke. Mark Smith says, okay, we're going to see if he can see. And if he can, we'll restart the fight. If not, it will be a no contest. And so what ends up happening is Waldo Cortes-Acosta stands up. The doctor straight up asked him, because keep in mind, up until this point, Salsa Boy hasn't said, I can't see. He says, can you see? Salsa Boy says, it's about 40%, but it's getting better. And the doctor says, it's getting better? He says, yes. And he wipes out his eye. He wipes out his eye. And Mark Smith says something to him like, you want to continue? And he says, I ain't no pussy. They start the fight back up. They said, okay, we're good. Let's start the fight back up. They start the fight back up. Boom, Delija lands like a jab. Salsa Boy returns with a right hand, puts Delija on his ass, and then smashes him out with hammer fist. Puts him out cold, brutally KO'd him after being brutally eye poked, and wins the fight. He then goes on in the post-fight interview to call out Tom Aspinall. One Tom Aspinall, as Ariel Helwani would say. This was a badass performance. This was the most pathetic moment of Tom Aspinall's career here tonight. Tom Aspinall, I know it sounds crazy, all right? Tom Aspinall, after verbally tapping last week, after quitting last week, if you want to look at that as a pejorative, so be it. He should vacate his belt out of respect for Salsa Boy. Put some respect on Salsa Boy's name. He should vacate it. Absolutely vacate it. Salsa Boy calls out Tom Aspinall. He says, yeah, my eye hurt, but I knew it was going to get better and we're going to be fine. Tom Aspinall, a week later, after seeing 5 different doctors and getting 5 different clean bills of health. Clean bill of health. This motherfucker's still wearing an eye patch. Still wearing an eye patch. No serious injury. Still wearing an eye patch. Salsa Boy's eye poke was worse because not only did he get eye poked, Delija then attacked him afterwards and tried to finish him. So it was way worse. Imagine that Ciryl Gane eye poked him and then went after him, put damage on him. I would have understood even more why Tom Aspinall didn't continue. But Salsa Boy, after getting battered, after being eye poked, still said, you know what? I'm going to continue. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. And now, as crazy as it seems, Salsa Boy is close to a title shot in a shitty heavyweight division. And I told you guys a long time ago, we'll just check this out. I was going to save this for the end of the video, but we'll check this out right now. People used to call me a contrarian saying I was rage baiting for saying Salsa Boy could beat Tom Aspinall. We were talking about it the other day. This is literally like 3 streams ago.
I used to say Salsa Boy could beat Tom Aspinall, and people thought I was trolling. Who remembers those days? That wasn't that long ago. Who remembers when I used to say Salsa Boy could beat Tom Aspinall, and people used to laugh at me and say that was a troll? Can anyone vouch for me on that one? Can anyone vouch for me on that one? Everyone was saying Henry quit, but when Tom did, no one's saying that shit and defending Tom. No one's saying Song should have been DQ'd. I know. Salsa Boy is the dark horse, or was the dark horse. Man, he should have picked up the pace. He could have beat Ciryl Gane.
There you go. I've been a believer in Salsa Boy for a while. I said Salsa Boy was one of the most underrated heavyweight fighters. I said Tom Aspinall was one of the most overrated. And people called me a contrarian. Who's laughing now? Who's laughing now? Came back from a brutal eye poke and got a flatline KO. The best part of it all, Ante Delija is Tom Aspinall's friend and training partner. And guess what? He had something to say recently. Let's see what he had to say. Let's check out his quote after Tom Aspinall was eye poked. Ante Delija, I really don't understand. I had 33 fights and I never poked somebody in the eye. And I do believe the punishment for that should be severe. I'm going to be honest. I remember this quote when they had the stoppage in action. And in my mind, I said, you know what? I kind of hope Salsa Boy doesn't continue and I hope they DQ Ante Delija. That's what he deserves. This was so much better. I didn't think about this until I was like, oh, wait a second. They're about to restart. I didn't think the fight could be restarted yet. I didn't realize. It didn't register in my brain. Oh, shit, they might restart this fight. This was the funniest possible outcome. You can't script this shit. Tom Aspinall gets eye poked by Gane in a fight that he's losing. He quits. He bows out. A week later, Tom Aspinall's training partner and friend eye pokes somebody else. That guy decides to continue after writhing in agony, decides I'm going to man up, I'm going to nut up, and I'm going to continue. And then he KOs Tom Aspinall's friend and training partner. You can't make this shit up. This was the funniest shit I ever seen in my entire life. And Salsa Boy straight up called it out. In this interview, you can check out this full clip on my Twitter. I don't want to play too much of it in this video because I don't want to get copyright struck. But he even talked shit about Tom Aspinall directly to Dana White. He says, I got a message for you, Dana. Let's listen to it.
Dana, you see how one heavyweight, they can push forward.
You see how a heavyweight can push forward? Because Tom Aspinall sure couldn't. He didn't want to continue because he knew he would lose. That's a fact. I've been vindicated yet again.
I don't care to have it like poke the eye. I can fight.
I don't care if I get poked in the eye. I can fight. This is a real man right here. I said it before, and people were calling me crazy. You think Islam would have bowed out? You think Khabib would have bowed out? You think Ian Machado Gary would have bowed out? You think Yuri Prohaska would have bowed out? You think even Jamal Hill would have bowed out? Tom Aspinall, I could smell the rich daddy's boy on him. I want to know what he had in high school. Somebody asked what kind of car he drove in high school. I would bet my life it's probably a King Ranch. Well, they probably don't have those in the UK. His parents definitely bought him a nice vehicle in high school. I could just smell it on Tom Aspinall. I could smell the quitter on him. I could smell it on him, okay? Maybe I grew up dirt poor, no parents. I could just sniff this shit out. Tom Aspinall quits. It's not an opinion. It's an irrefutable, undeniable fact. He did not want to continue because he knew he would lose. And there's a couple more seconds of this.
Anywhere I can fight right now again to say I can fight.
I can fight right now again and take a fight. He don't give a fuck. He doesn't. Next clip I want to show you is Salsa Boy talking at the post-fight presser. Talks about Tom Aspinall again. Listen to this.
Were you just calling him out as you felt like you wanted to get that shot, or were you calling him out because you were able to continue from the eye poke?
Yeah, it's like that. It's for the hang to be a champion. And the hang quick because the pocket the eye too, and the third too because the hang is the training partner, and I do it with hang like a knock him out in the first round. Why is it happening that me and Tom Aspinall fight? Because he say Tom Aspinall, this is the one that does the best training partner. Hang can have it. What happened? Tom Aspinall fighting with Waldo Cortes.
I'm telling you right now, if Tom Aspinall ever steps up and actually fights Ciryl Gane again, and he somehow wins, Waldo Cortes-Acosta is right there, man. He barely lost to Sergey Pavlovich. If he would have picked up the pace, he would have won. I favored him in that fight. Listen to this again.
Were you just calling him out as you felt like you wanted to get that shot, or were you calling him out because you were able to continue from the eye poke?
Yeah, it's like that. It's for the hang to be a champion, and the hang quick because the pocket the eye.
Him quit because of a poke in the eye. I've said this on a couple different streams after we found out about the clean bill of health. People tell me all the time, Joey, you have no right. You don't get to say this or that because you never stepped foot in the cage. You never stepped foot in there. You're not a fighter, brother. How come my opinion, almost every single fighter agrees with me? Whether it's Pereira, whether it's Poirier, whether it's Waldo Cortes-Acosta, whether it's anybody, almost every single fighter has agreed with me. Tom Aspinall quitting there. And here's another one. And here's a perfect example because Acosta got eye poked. Salsa Boy got eye poked. And then he got beat on for 20 seconds afterwards. And I will say this, because I don't feel like I said this enough in the video. Mark Smith was a little bit weird and kind of relaying the information to Delija. And he was saying, I just saw punches. He checked the replay. He rectified the call. I shit on these referees a lot. I shit on the commissions a lot. They got this right. Any other ref would have said TKO, oh well, boo-hoo, fuck off. There's nothing we can do. And it would have stayed a TKO for Ante Delija. This was the right call. Salsa Boy manned up and he went out there and got a brutal KO to put himself in contention for that heavyweight title. Couple other things I want to check out because we got a lot to check out here, all right? We have this as well. I can't see Doc Save Me versus Please Let Me Continue, the real BMF. Look at this. Look at this. Brutally eye poked, and then he gets the finish. This is what we got from the heavyweight champion. Vacate the title. Vacate it. This was a hell of a performance by Waldo Cortes-Acosta. And I'm going to be honest, there's been a lot of Tom Aspinall defenders. I don't know where they go from here. They have to be in shambles. They don't know what to say because even if you're the staunchest of Tom Aspinall defender, okay? How do you look at this? Like, let me know if you're still watching and you haven't been infuriated so much you unsubbed and turned off the video. If you're a Tom Aspinall defender here, you can't look at this and say this isn't, I mean, this is just a dump right on Tom Aspinall's head. This is some Vince McMahon type shit here. If you can't say this is a horrible look for Tom Aspinall, don't ever watch the sport again because you can't be unbiased. You can't. This is a massive stain on Tom. This is an embarrassment for Tom. He's gone to 8 different hospitals, 8 different clean bills of health, covering the eye patch, the looking over at the camera, the begging the doctor, saying he should have stopped the fight, right? The doctor laughing in his face. Dana White crapping on him a little bit too. You can't write this shit. I'm devastated that I wasn't live. The shirt may have came off. Genuinely, the shirt may have came off. It was the funniest shit I ever seen. I wasn't even at my house. I was at somebody else's house. Turned the fights on. Was laughing hysterically, reaching up at the sky, thanking the MMA gods. You really can't write this shit. And another thing I want to show you in terms of the Waldo Cortes-Acosta fight, or actually not even the Waldo Cortes-Acosta fight, there's something else I want to show you guys. I want to show you guys this. Because this, and we're going to talk about some other fights here in a second. You know, actually, let's wrap up this first. We'll end with this. We'll pull back up the image. This right here, I think was more egregious, and I said it was a worse eye poke. But the fact that Delija eye poked him and then attacked him afterwards, you know what? I think we should see something severe. Ante Delija should suffer a 1-year suspension. He eye poked him and then he attacked him afterwards and tried to capitalize on it to get a TKO. He had to know his finger went in his eye. He had to know his hands were extended. There's no way he thought it was a punch. I think this was malicious. I think this was deliberate. And I think he needs to be penalized for it. I really do. But good on Waldo Cortes-Acosta coming back and getting the first round KO. Picture perfect right hand, hammer fist to finish. And it was a beauty to see. Now, let's talk about some other fights really quickly because there's another fight I want to talk about. There's a couple other fights I want to talk about. We're not going to talk about all of them. Billy Elicana versus Kevin Christian. Billy Elicana wins via first round rear naked choke. Choked Kevin Christian out cold. I'm not even going to talk about the entirety of the fight, but the finishing sequence, Elicana banged on the back of his head with hammer fist. 3 or 4 of them, okay? And then he choked him out cold. The referee missed the tap. And the guy went out cold. Chris Tione's a shit ref. I understand the hand was in an awkward position. He missed the tap. This guy went out cold. It got stopped. Why isn't anybody demanding a DQ? Why? We're demanding DQ wins for Tommy Aspinall for suffering an eye poke that he could have recovered from. Where's the people demanding a DQ for Kevin Christian? Because he ate multiple back of the head shots and then got choked unconscious. He ate multiple egregious fouls, whether intentional or not, and then he was choked unconscious. So where's Ariel at now? Where's Ariel at now? Where's everyone at now? The Tom Aspinall fanboys only are on Tom Aspinall's dick because they hate John Jones, and Tom Aspinall was their great white hope. I'll say it again and again and again. Tom Aspinall will never even touch John Jones's career if it ended in 2014, let alone 2025 or 2024. He won't even touch it. But because they so desperately wanted to shit on Jones because they don't like him, I'm not even saying they can't like him. I'm not even saying it's unfair. They were so biased, they elevated Tom to this godlike figure. And they wanted a DQ off an incidental eye poke. Where's it at for 3 to 4 back of the head shots? I'll tell you right now, and we'll end the eye poke Tom Aspinall conversation here. If Tom got eye poked the way Waldo Cortes-Acosta got eye poked, and then Ciryl Gane swarmed him and finished him, I'd have been on Tom Aspinall's side. I'll end with that. A couple other things I want to discuss. Okay, we got a couple other things to discuss. I'm not going to discuss all the fights because realistically, I mean, what's there to talk about? Garbage. Okay, I mean, whatever. Garbage. Ruiz horrible. Whew, man, I'm starting to sweat. I'm breaking a sweat right now, boys. Insert fat joke into the comments. Cedriquez Dumas cut him from the organization. Anyway, let's just get up here, okay? Oh my God, Daniel Frunza, no takedown defense. Garbage. Let's talk about Isaac Dalgarian, Yedier Delvaliev. First round sub. I wasn't paying attention to Twitter. I wasn't online at all. And Dalgarian ends up giving up his back. He shoots a takedown. He ends up giving up his back. Delvaliev ends up with the choke arm underneath the chin. He's trying to lock the grip. He's going palm to palm. Dalgarian's fighting off the hand. And then Dalgarian would fight off the hand and then never try to address the choke arm or never keep 2-on-1 on the grip hand. And instead, he would fight off the hand and then just start throwing backward punches. And I was sitting there, I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? This is amateur hour. Even DC was saying it too. He's like, well, this is very basic stuff. What is going on? And eventually gets choked out. And I said, this is weird as hell. I mean, Dalgarian's pretty good. He should know this. Well, apparently the betting line flipped. Apparently Dalgarian was like a -250 favorite. He ended up an underdog by the time the line closed. Now, I don't know a lot about betting, but that means a lot of money came in on Yadier Delvaliev. I don't want to butcher his name there, but I probably did anyway. Well, why would all that money come on to him? Pause. Massive pause. There's some people saying this was a fix. And the money doesn't lie. If a bunch of money randomly comes on a massive underdog, and apparently a lot of people were betting the prop at first round sub. And live, not knowing any of this, I thought it looked suspicious as hell. It looked like a WWE work. Like he's fighting off, like Kurt Angle has the ankle lock in and you're crawling to the rope in agony. That's what it seemed like. Dalgarian would fight the hand and then instead of trying to address this or keeping the 2-on-1, he would just start throwing. It was a work. It was a work. So there needs to be an investigation into this. What an absolute joke this was. This was a scam. Cut Isaac Dalgarian. Cut this dude. I mean, I don't know if this dude was even in on it. It was a horrible showing for Dalgarian. And it clearly, to me, now knowing what we know, he threw this fight away. Last thing we'll talk about is the main event. Steve Garcia, David Onama. Garcia walked him down, beat him up. Onama landed a couple jabs. Onama ended up getting clipped with a big shot, hurt. Started eating uppercuts, was falling all over the cage. Bit of a late stoppage. Ended up down on his hands and knees. Steve Garcia pounding him away. And eventually, finally, I think Herb Dean stepped in. Steve Garcia needs to get the respect he deserves. He deserves a top 15 fighter. I don't know if Onama was ranked going in this fight. I don't know. It's not here right here. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. Steve Garcia people need to put some respect on Steve Garcia's name. This was a good win. I want to see him against a top guy. I would love to see him in a big fight. Maybe Gene Silva, man. Steve Garcia, Gene Silva would be a banger. Pay-per-view main card opener would be an absolute banger. So I would love to see that. Steve Garcia, filthy, nasty, crazy win streak. Very highly skilled. I want to see him tested against elite opposition. David Onama really offered no resistance. I thought Steve Garcia would finish him, but I didn't expect it to be this easy. I thought he'd face a little bit of adversity. He did get cut up, I think, over the eye, but he didn't quit either. So good win from Steve Garcia. But that pretty much does it, guys. Shout out to Salsa Boy. Shout out to Salsa Boy. Let's actually go look at my Twitter real quick. Let's go look at my Twitter. I've had some bangers here. We'll end it with this. What a tale of two fights. Salsa Boy was in agonizing pain, screaming at the top of his lungs, and never uttered the words, "I can't see." Aspinall was screaming it 5 times over within 1 minute of the eye poke. The UFC heavyweight champion is a fraud. You never catch me quitting after an eye poke. The MMA community is full of Tom Aspinalls, and I'm a Salsa Boy. This guy tweeted out, how bad would it be without these legends in the MMA community? You won't appreciate them now, but one day you will. It's crazy how I'm called a contrarian time and time again, and the contrarian opinions eventually become popular opinion. Okay, and shout out to Kenny too. I know he gets a lot of hate. We got this video I already did. I already showed you guys. Some of us are built different, and Salsa Boy is one of those guys. Tom Aspinall needs to vacate his title out of respect for Waldo Cortes-Acosta. I already showed you this video from this guy. Let me get this straight. Aspinall's team just eye poked his opponent. His opponent then continues and KOs Aspinall's teammate in 20 seconds after the eye poke. Aspinall has no heart. It's just proven. Facts. Salsa Boy showed how the soy boy beta males, UK guys, are straight up quitters. I wonder if Salsa Boy will get a clean bill of health after seeing 5 doctors and still wearing an eye patch. And that pretty much does it. I already showed you this one as well. That wraps it up, boys. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Like the video. Shout out to Salsa Boy. He got it done. Let me put on another picture of him. Look at this guy. Look at this madman out here. He gets it done at UFC Vegas 110. I'm not even 100% sure on that. I'll talk to you guys later. By the way, I started this video. I just clicked record. I was laughing about this because this shit is so funny. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and thank you so much for watching. Vindicated yet again.